Hello, hello, hello.
And welcome to the Hildebrand Law Firm topic for today.
I'm Kirsten Hildebrand.
And I'm Matt Kaplan.
And we have a special guest today, and this is
Popcorn.
Popcorn. Tell me the story of Popcorn again.
Well, sure. So Popcorn did his undergrad, and then he went to paw school so that he could be a paw attorney. And you know what the last step is before they let you practice?
No.
You have to pass the paw exam.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, that's like way cheesy. No, don't you have a better story? You have a really good story.
Yeah, so 2020 during COVID, my wife and I were working from home a lot, and we really wanted a dog. And we go to look at all the shelters around town, and all of the dogs were taken, all of the good ones. And oh hello.
See,
and,
Popcorn likes that you're telling this story.
Yeah, he knows we're talking about him. So a lot of the dogs were taken, and we wanted a smaller dog, and we wanted one that didn't shed because we're both allergic. And so we found him at some shelter in Madison, and all that it said is, it's a great dog, but he thinks he's macho and thinks he's the man, so he marks his territory a little bit. And so at the time,
like with a crayon.
Yes, he marks his territory. No, he doesn't have thumbs, Kirsten. How could he use a crayon? No, with his pee.
Yeah, I know. I was just kidding.
So we said, yeah, let's take a risk. And so we thought, our apartment at the time was all concrete. And so I was like, if he pees on the ground, whatever, we clean it up.
Yeah.
And so we took a risk. We brought him home. He only peed a couple of times, but after that, he's just been the sweetest. I mean, look at him.
Look at him.
He's just the sweetest. He's about 10 years old now,
uh-huh.
and he is just an absolute joy. But we wanted to introduce him to the world because we want to talk about pet trusts.
Pet trusts are really important. And the more we go along in our practice of law, the more this comes up as an issue because there's just a tremendous number of people that want to make sure that the pet that they own, if they were to pass away, is not just taken to a facility for bad things to happen. And so the question is, how do you provide for a loved pet upon your passing? And is that something that you want to do? I would say I've done it probably an innumerable amount of times at this point. And how about you?
Yeah, no, same. We've had some people who have come back to us who said, hey, I got my trust done years ago, but I just got a pet. I would like to add in a pet trust for them. And it's kind of, I think it's an absolutely lovely thing because one of the things that as I've been doing this is thinking just the idea of family. Who is your family? It's not just your kids for some people. For a lot of young people like myself who doesn't have any children, this is my child. And this is it. This is my child. And it also for a lot of, more mature couples that we see whose kids have moved out,
yes.
A lot of them end up getting dogs and cats to try to fill that void.
Right.
And so they need to be taken care of just as much. But one thing I do want to point out, I think pet trusts get a really bad stigma because people see the Paris Hiltons of the world and they see all these celebrities that say, I'm leaving $2 million to my dog Fufu. And it's like, can you leave actual money to a dog? Can you actually do that, Kirsten?
No, you cannot.
I'm pretty sure you can.
Right. There is no law in the state of Wisconsin that allows for a pet to actually own anything. And so that is a foundational issue. So the only way that you could actually provide for a pet is through a trust. And so we do pet trusts. And a pet trust is essentially saying, I want to have a certain amount of my estate to go into and fund this trust. And then it's very individualized. Under what conditions do you want somebody to take the pet? What kind of treatment do you want the pet to have? What kind of funding? There's a lot of really interesting detail associated with it.
And I love doing it because really when you see people who are big pet owners and they talk about their pets, it almost makes them happier than when they talk about their kids.
Yes.
Because people's kids have a tendency of like irritating them from time to
time.
Well,
they talk back. They talk back and
exactly.
They're very needy and Yeah, unexpected things happen that are worse than maybe a little pee in the corner of the carpet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, no, exactly. So, certain things you can provide for your pet, and certain reasons that a pet trust would be a good idea. You can provide a certain amount of money for whoever takes over to be caregiver of your pet. Let's say you want a sibling. Let's say you want a significant other. Whoever the heck you want. You could say out of your trust, I want a few $1,000s. We had one client that wanted 5% of their trust to go to whoever gives care for their pet. At the time, that was $200,000.
Wow.
Yes.
And I think also it's important to put contingencies in there because so I'll raise my hand to that. I'll take $200,000 to take care of a pet. So you want to delineate who has the ability to volunteer for that position, and then often after that, we'll put contingencies on it. You can't just take the pet and the money and then all of a sudden the pet dies,
Right.
because that's not the intention of the pet trust. So these things need to be carefully thought through. I do agree with a percentage, because if you say X amount of dollars and then now all of a sudden the pet is getting more than the kids because you've spent down so much of your estate, that might not go so well.
Right.
But so I think a percentage is a good idea, but then also making sure that you're really thinking through, okay, what am I most concerned about relative to both the person who is taking care of the pet and also my pet itself? What kind of environment is a baseline? And then, what will I not tolerate?
Right, and I love that. And you can also be as specific as you want. I had one client that gave me a laundry list. Here's things that I want. I want them to go to this vet. They need to eat this type of food. They need to have this type of medicine. 3 walks a day of at least 15 minutes each. All of that. So you could be as specific or as vague as you want. And
Yes.
that's one of the many things that we've talked about, is that when it comes to estate planning, even providing for your pet, it's totally up to you.
I had a client who was on the other end of the spectrum and was very vague. It was a little bit more concerned about the individual who was taking over the responsibility of the pet than maybe even the pet itself. In other words, wanted to make sure that the pet was cared for, but also didn't want the pet to be a terrible burden on the individual who was taking over. And so, basically wanted to give as much flexibility as possible to the person who was taking over. The baseline being that they need to be cared for individually by you, and they also need to be, well managed, and whatever that might mean for that individual. So
So yeah, I think long story short, pet trusts are a wonderful thing. I love doing them. Um, Depending on what kind of pet you have, once in a while I'll make a deal. I say, as long as you bring your pet in and make everybody in here happy, I'm not going to charge you extra for it. It's a quick thing sometimes. So no, I love them. I love when people come in. I've noticed that pet owners, you know, every pet owner I've ever met tends to be just a different breed. They tend to be just such a wonderful, gentle, kind person, and because it takes a certain person to be a pet owner. You
Yeah,
know.
and just on a more technical level too, I think that one of the questions that I would have is, well, what if I don't have a pet when I pass away, or what if I have a different pet when I pass away? So if you're going to name every single dog after this the same name, right? Like popcorn is going to be it for the rest of the dogs that you ever have. You could probably specifically name popcorn, but you may just want to be as general as, look, any pet that I may own at the time that I pass away, this is what I want to have happen.
Yeah, can I tell you a funny story about
Yeah,
that?
absolutely.
So my grandma lived in a co-op in Long Island, and the co-op passed a rule that said no dogs. But there was one dog in the building that was grandfathered in,
Ah.
and so what they did is, once the dog died, they went and got the same exact dog and named it the same thing. And so this dog now, they're on like the fourth iteration of this dog.
That's
The
awesome.
tale is that this dog is like 80 years old. This dog outlived one of the people.
Is this the same breed of dog? Are they even trying to make it seem like legit?
Yeah, it was the same exact breed. So
No way.
they just kind of, it was kind of a copy paste
Yeah.
to a younger version
Yeah.
of the dog that deceased. And
Well,
yeah,
you've heard about being able to genetically, like, get a clone
Oh,
of
yeah.
a dog. I don't know. Have you ever?
I've heard about that. I feel like it's weird.
It's so
I
weird.
feel like it's weird because it's not going to be the same. There's no way.
There's no way it can be the same. But
Yeah.
according to science, it is.
I don't know.
I don't
Popcorn,
know.
any last words? Anything you want to tell the world?
He's saying, I'm okay with my tie, but I really wish it was a little
Yeah.
bit more pizzazzy.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Because okay. All right, Popcorn. Then do you want to sign off? Say goodbye.
Say
Okay.
goodbye.
Popcorn, tell everybody to like and subscribe to the channel, and then leave a comment down below if you have a picture of a really cute pet. Make sure you leave a picture of them. If you have a pet or a pet trust or any questions, make sure you leave a comment down below, and we'd love to respond to them. Also, if you have any suggestions for any future videos about pets or about humans, anything like that.
Thanks so much for joining us. We are here for your today and tomorrow, and we will see you next time.